What's going on, guys? So you decided to join the Army, and in this video we're going to talk about Airborne School. So in this video, my brother here, James, if you guys have seen his previous video, I'm going to link it up if I remember somewhere. It'll be top bottom description. You guys know where it's at. But he's going to talk about Airborne School. I never went to Airborne School, at least I haven't yet, so I can't talk about it from personal experience. But hopefully, you know, this first-hand account is going to give you guys a good idea of what to expect, what it's like being an Airborne, the whole process, you know, just a couple weeks, and then just, I don't know, a little bit of your thoughts of how crazy it was actually jumping out of a plane.
Alright. So everybody was really excited when we first got there. We got there at night, and we didn't really know what we were doing. I mean, because, like, I think Airborne's still a part of TRADOC. I'm not sure. I've been told it was, and I've been told it wasn't. But you don't have a bunch of sergeants there like you did at Fort Sill, or like I did at Fort Sill and AIT and basic whatever, to come greet you and like kind of like tell you where to go and everything. Mm-hmm. And so like we got there and like there was no sergeants anywhere, and we were like really confused on like what to do and like where to go and stay. So we had to like ask people around. But so we got set in the barracks, and they're not really that nice. They're pretty crappy actually, in my opinion. And stayed there. It was a Friday, so we had Saturday and Sunday off, and so we kind of just every day you just like wake up. We didn't, or for that time, since it was the beginning before we even started, you didn't have a formation, you didn't have anything, so you just woke up, did whatever you wanted to. I mean, you can go off base if you wanted to, and you just make sure you come back at whatever time you wanted to, and you know, get back in. Then when Monday came, that's when we got to meet our sergeants and figure out like what platoon we were going to be in and so what stick. So the first week we just learned about the parachute and the reserve, and that was about, or actually the first day, sorry. In the first week we learned about PLFs and just falling down.
What's PLFs?
Parachute landing fall. So whenever you jump from the plane, you land, you gotta land a certain way, and you gotta do everything a certain way so you don't get hurt, you don't break a leg like this one kid did. And you jump out of the tower the first week actually, which I didn't think you did because the second week's supposed to be tower week and the first week's ground week, so you wouldn't think you would. But you just jump out without anything. You just have your reserve on your front. You don't have anything on the back. And all they're trying to see, trying to make sure you do, is when you jump out of the tower, you just have your elbows in, your hands around the reserve, not on the front of it, around the ripcord handle, because if you do that, then you're going to get in a lot of trouble. And when you jump out, you're supposed to tuck in, feet and knees together. That's all you need to know really about Airborne School. And then just stay in that position, count to 6,000 when you get out. You check your canopy and all that fun stuff, and then you're good.
Okay.
And you go down. The second week, it was tower week, so we jumped out of the towers like a million times, and we fell from these little, they're like zip lines, and you hold on to them. And he'll tell you, like, before you go down it, he'll be like, all right, you're going to be performing a front left PLF. And you're like, okay. So then you get up there and you position in, like, the way that you perform that. And then you'll get up there, you'll get ready. He'll say release. You take off, and then you start sliding down. And then he'll tell you to let go. And then you fall down, and you have to, your feet, that's all you have to do. Just make sure your feet and your knees are together when you hit the ground. And it doesn't matter if they're apart or not after that, because, like, I noticed people, you know, they hit the ground, they're together, but then they came apart after they fell, but they still passed. So as long as they're like that, you're good. And then you fall down, hit those 5 points of contact, right? Yeah. And then you're good. And you do that for the whole rest of the week, and you're just sore. Like your knees get sore, your hip gets sore, my neck was sore.
Yeah. I remember he was telling me, I was asking if he was going to the gym and working out at Airborne School, and he was like, heck no. He's talking about his whole body was just sore from week 2 of just hitting the ground. You know, it's not like you're just slamming against the wall, but over repeatedly all the different just hits on the ground. It just adds
you're landing in gravel, little pebbles, whatever. So I mean, it's not terrible, but it still does take a toll on your body after doing it forever. Like one of my friends, I told him he's just actually graduated Airborne School. I was like, before he went in, I was like, hey man, you're gonna get really sore. And he's like, no, I'll be good. And I think the first couple days of tower week, he was like, dude, my knees are all bruised up. And I'm like, yeah, I told you, man, it's gonna happen. But so I mean, it was it was just really boring, to be honest. I mean, because you just did the same thing over and over and over, and like you had to like pass on each side at least like 3 times, you know, or like each PLF, and it just took forever.
So it'd be safe to say the first 2 weeks are pretty boring of just repeating stuff.
Really boring. And I mean, you get out the first week. You get out pretty early, like around like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You're getting out, and as the days go on, you stay longer, and you wake up earlier. And so that was pretty much all Tower Week was. Besides, you jump out of the towers again. Except now you're doing it with your combat equipment on, your rifle on your side, and then your reserve. And you don't have a pat tray on yet, but you do it later on. And you jump out. You have to jump out one at a time, and you have to pass that. And then once you've passed jumping in or jumping out individually, you jump out in groups of 3, and everybody has to pass. So both of you, the first 2 guys can jump out and theirs be perfect. But if the last guy jumps out and his legs come apart just a little bit, then he'll make you do it again. And it might not sound that bad just because you have to do it one more time, but having to wear that combat equipment just for that much longer.
What's the combat equipment consist of? When he's doing this, he's talking about it being between you're carrying equipment basically between your legs.
Yeah.
Right?
So you got I don't know what's in it. I think it's just a bunch of sandbags to to come up with the weight. But it's just your ruck, and then you've got a rifle, on your left side, and then your reserve. And it's really heavy, and you're just like waddling, and my back was killing me. And especially if the guy didn't like he didn't put your harness on right, and he put it too tight or too loose, then you're gonna feel like crap, especially when you jump out of it. But so everybody has to pass it, and I think you have to pass it 5 times on each door, and you're done with that, and that's Tower Week. And then you go to Jump Week. And Jump Week, I was fully expecting it to be like fun. You're like, we get to jump out of an airplane, blah blah blah. And our first day there, we sat there for 13 hours. Like we got up at like 3 o'clock or something like that, and sat there for 13 hours in the harness. We were in Hollywood though, so which is in Hollywood. Hollywood is where you just have your reserve and your parachute. Combat is where you have your ruck and your rifle and your reserve and parachute. So, and Hollywood's way easier and it's more comfortable. And so we sat there, and you get ready. They check you, make sure everything's good, and then you just sit there in silence with your feet together and your hand on your ripcord handle, because that's what they teach you to do wherever you go when you're wearing it, and complete silence the whole time, and you can't talk. And they don't like it when you use the bathroom, because then they have to recheck you, so they yell at you when you do that. And after they check you, also don't touch your face and don't touch your equipment, because if you do, you're gonna get kicked out of Airborne school like that. I saw several people do that. And
explain why that is. If you touch your equipment whenever they've checked it.
So whenever they check, they JMPI you, right? I can't remember what JMPI stands for, but it's where they check all your equipment and make sure everything's good and ready to go. So, and they sign off on your helmet. That they checked your helmet, and that their name is on you, like, or that you're good to go. So if you mess with your equipment and you mess up something and you jump out and they find out that you were the one who checked your stuff, they get in trouble for it. So they get really frustrated if they see you start touching your equipment. So and especially even when you're in the bird and you're getting ready to go up, don't touch your stuff either, because I saw a guy, he was up there and he just adjusted his chin strap. Just his chin strap. I mean, that's not going to affect him at all, right? But I mean, at least that's what you think. And he took it off and just adjusted his helmet and put it back on. And one of the jump masters saw him and was like, "You're not jumping. Stay here." Everybody else jumped, and he landed and went in there, and he was out. So you make sure you don't
touch your body after you've been checked.
Don't touch it at all, yeah. And don't talk, because I mean, you can get kicked out for that too, because when they're checking everybody, they're listening for like they do something where like they hit you right here in your release assembly, and they're listening for like a click. And I guess like if we're talking, I mean we're not even talking that loud, but they have to hear, it's like really distinct noise, I guess, and they have to hear it. And if they don't, then somebody their sheet or their thing might be messed up, and they might have to get a new one. So
interesting.
Yeah, and we sat there for 13 hours. Didn't do anything, and then finally the plane came up, got in there, jumped out. And my first jump, so I was really nervous, like when I got like getting up there, like getting on the plane, I was just like, oh my gosh, like we're about to do this. I was excited, but I was nervous at the same time. And they do the whole routine, you know, that they'll teach you, like, and it came to be our turn. They told us to stand up, hook up. We got there. I'm standing there, and I was the second guy to the door, and they opened up those doors up, and it was my friend in front of me. He was scared out of his mind. Like I thought he was about to stop. Like jump refusal is like if you refuse to jump, you can get like UC action, all this stuff, right? And so he's standing there. He's standing there, and he's holding his static line, and he's just looking like this, like a ghost. And I looked at the jump master, and he was looking at him like, calm down. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is bad, guys. This is not good. And so finally he like chills out, and they're like, 1 minute, 30 seconds. So I know we're about to go. And then as soon as they're like go, and then you start going out, all my stress goes out, But I went out there, and like my mind wasn't even thinking. Like I wasn't remembering any of the training that they had taught us. And I like stepped too close to the door, and the plane just like sucked me out, and I smashed right into the side of the plane, and it bruised me so bad and gave me this big old welt on my arm, and it hurt so bad.
So what did you learn from that experience?
From that, make sure you step, or like you go, like instead of just trying to go straight into the door, like you kind of like go like this and then turn and then jump out, and make sure you jump out like far and really hard.
Jump out hard. Don't just kind of nudge your way out, or else you're gonna get slammed against the plane.
You kind of just like do like little like small little, I don't know, just
a nervous jump.
Yeah. Then you're just gonna smack right into the door, and then you can get jacked up really bad if you do that. And
yeah, just imagine if you do that, especially like if you were to jump out and like your legs are still there, your legs get caught, and you're just gonna be spinning way worse than you normally would have.
Yeah, right? I know some people like they'll do that, and then their static line gets hooked on something, and they get stuck on the side of the plane. That's you're called a toe jumper. And you like whenever you do that, you're supposed to like you get into a really tight body position and just like hold your reserve, and you just sit there and like.
Will you wait for them to cut the line or something?
Either wait for them to pull you back in or cut the line. And if they cut the line, you gotta pull your reserve like immediately. And it's like they're telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, man. Like this is terrible. And so, anyways, I jumped out though. I mean, it hurt hitting the door, but when I jumped out, you're supposed to, like I said, you put your elbows in, tuck your chin, you bend over, keep your knees and feet together and straight, and you count to 6,000. And you're supposed to keep your eyes open. I had my eyes closed. And I kind of waited, like I forgot to start counting as soon as you jump out, and I started counting, and I got to about 4,000, and I felt my chute go, open up.
Felt it actually open.
Yeah, and
I think I'm gonna overlay some visual for you guys. You guys already know probably, but I'm gonna overlay videos. I was at his graduation and all that stuff, so you'll see kind of the chutes kind of be like this, and then
yeah. And so, like, you feel it, but I kept on counting to 6,000 even though my chute was, like, opening because I wanted to be safe. And it opened up, or I felt, I got to 6,000. And then once it gets there, you're supposed to, you pick your head up and you check your canopy to make sure everything's good. Like, there's no holes, there's no hunks, you don't have a hung slider. Yeah, that's what it's called. And, like, broken static lines or any of that. Or suspension lines. And then, like once you make sure everything's good, then you like look around you, make sure nobody's about to run into you, make sure you're not falling too fast. And well, when I tried to pick my head up, I couldn't. My suspension lines were like twisted up around my head, and it was keeping me from putting my head up. So they teach you like if that happens, you have to grab behind you, and this happened to me every time I jumped. Every single time I jumped, this happened. I had to grab. You have to grab the back, and you pull apart, and you just like kick really like crazy. And that makes it to where like it'll spin you out of it, and then you're good. So I do that every time, and then from there on it's just like a breeze. I mean, you're just floating down. Especially your first jump. I was really nervous my first jump, and I wasn't really like taking in everything. Like your first jump for sure. Like after you get out there and everything's good, because you're not gonna be near anyone, because you're only jumping one door at a time, and everybody's like really spaced apart because everybody's nervous and they don't want to jump right on somebody. Just like kind of enjoy like being up there, because you're not gonna be able to do that the rest of the time. So I wish I would have done that. And then my first landing was actually really soft. I hit the ground and it was really just nice and easy. And I didn't get drug at all. I got drug on a couple of my jumps, and yeah, then you just put your parachute in your recovery bag. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's just called a recovery bag. And then you run back to the just this shaded area. Yeah.
So basically, just to summarize that, you jump out of the plane, pull the chute, and you land in this humongously big field, right? And then he was talking about just putting your parachute up, and then you basically have to put it on your back like a ruck and run for like a half a mile or something.
Yeah,
a good quarter to a half a mile.
Or it was as far as I thought. Like
some people got really far runs.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then some people too, like it rained the day before one of our jumps, and people were just landing straight in puddles, and they were just coming back just drenched. And they tell you, they're like, make sure you bring an extra pair of OCPs or whatever, you know, in case you do land in a puddle, so you can change. They don't let you change. They make you sit there, and it's retarded. But so that's what my jump was like, and then for my graduation, I actually got to jump into it, which was cool. So, but that's jump week.
Okay. So, biggest thing, what would be the biggest thing of advice as far as jumping out of the plane? You think it's just stay calm or
stay calm?
Stay calm.
But like I said, like all you need to know about Airborne school is feet and knees together. That's literally it. As long as you keep your feet and knees together, that's it. Because when I was in AIT, I saw an Airborne guy, and I was like, hey man, I'm about to go to Airborne school. I was like, you got any advice for me? And he laughed. And he was like, feet and knees together. I was like, okay. And I didn't realize that, like, literally that's all you need to know about Airborne school. Like, there's nothing else that you need to know. Like, it's not that physically
Why is it that you have to keep your feet and knees together? Did they explain that? So just so knees don't slap together or something?
Like, well, first of all, like, I think if your feet are apart, I guess they could land at, like, different times or something. I don't know. They didn't really go into depth about it.
Just to keep you from breaking your legs, I guess?
Just keep you from breaking your legs, I guess. I mean, they never really, like, told us. They were just like, do this and you'll be successful and you'll land fine. But like one kid, he just like had some bad luck, and when we did we only did one combat jump. He dropped his ruck, and whenever he landed right on it, and he just broke his leg.
So that's it for this video. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you thought it was helpful, please hit that like button. I'm thankful for James, my brother here, just telling you guys about experiences that I have not had, just to help all of you guys out who are going to go to Airborne school. So again, if you liked it, please like the video, comment any questions you have down below, subscribe if you want to check out some more of my videos later on, and I will see you guys later.
Hey James! Yeah!
Drop.